There's a mindset that's required to beat the best guys, and it's not the same mindset that's required to get good. You better be goddamn crazy. You better be like Mike Tyson when he was young.
I know the art of fight. I know the art of war. That's all I ever studied. That's why I'm so feared. That's why they feared me when I was in the ring, because I was an annihilator. That's all I was born for. Now those days are gone. It's empty. I'm nothing. I'm working on being the art of humbleness. Can you be with me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person no more. And I miss me. Because sometimes I feel like a bitch.
Like most people, I'm a bit guilty of romanticizing my favorite fighters.
He's a beast. What an absolute animal. He's a warrior.
But assessing their behavior objectively and in the context of regular life outside of the ring has led me to the same two questions time and time again. How much of this is real? And if it is real, maybe calling these fighters crazy isn't just some tongue-in-cheek compliment. Maybe it's an unintended literal statement. So I decided to look into it further by studying the words and actions of some popular fighters, specifically those that exhibited what most people refer to as dynamic personalities, and then comparing the results to some well-known symptoms of genuine mental health disorders. What I found is pretty intriguing, but before we start, I'd like to throw in a small caveat if I may. I am not a psychologist, I am not a psychiatrist, I'm not a medical professional of any kind, and I have no formal training whatsoever. What I am is simply a fight fan that finds this particular topic interesting. Therefore, this video should not be used to officially diagnose anything, okay? Alright, cool. Now let's get into it. Let's start off with the fighter that probably caused a lot of you to click on this video in the first place. When he first got into the UFC in 2013, most MMA fans viewed Conor's trash talk and the way he carried himself as endearing. Some found him a bit annoying and full of himself, sure, but the worst thing anyone ever said about him at the time was that he was a bit of a douche. His bravado and grandiose personality came with an implied wink and a smile, almost as if he was cutting a promo every time he spoke.
This creates drama. Drama creates emotion, and emotion, you know, it creates dollars at the end of the day. He's going to command this hype. He said a lot, I've said a lot. Now we get to show it, you know what I mean? Now, a lot of people are going to tune in out curiosity. Yeah. Who's this loudmouth Irish guy that keeps talking all this shit about everyone? And I'm not here to take part. I'm not here to shake a guy's hand and be the token Irish guy. I'm here to kill everyone in the division, to obliterate everyone in my path. That's fact.
But as they say, true character is revealed in the choices a human being makes under pressure, and when Conor began losing, the mask cracked, and his genuine personality was revealed. That's not to say that what he was saying in the later parts of his career was any different than before, not at all actually. The hyperbolic statements remain, but the delivery of said statements mutated into something much darker. There was no longer any playfulness, and Conor seemed to genuinely be seething with rage.
Tomorrow night I'm gonna make this man pay with his life, and I mean it. You're dead in that octagon tomorrow night. Your wife is in me DMs, hey baby, hit me back up, I'll chat you later on. We'll be at the after party, the Win nightclub, baby. You looking bitch, you little hoe. I just thank the Lord Jesus Christ that man had not got the balls to step foot off that bus, because trust me, or that the bus door did not open, because if that bus door had have opened, this man would be dead right now. He would be in a box and I would be in a cell, and we would not have this great fight ahead of us. So
even Conor fans would likely concede that the current version of McGregor seems like an entirely different person from the intelligent and charming young fighter that made them become fans in the first place all of those years ago. I've heard people blame it on drugs or legal issues, or simply say that Conor seems to have lost his mind, but if we take a slightly different angle and assume that Conor always was this person that we're seeing now, and his true nature was simply hidden by virtue of being a winner and not having any real setbacks at that point in his career, well, that's where things get interesting. Let me show you what I mean. I already said that Conor could be described as charming and intelligent, at least at a certain point in time. He has also shown to have poor judgment, like the whole Dolly incident, or impulsively tweeting extremely inappropriate things and then deleting them. I also think that most people would agree that he's shown to have a pretty large ego as well, so let's put that on there. So now that we have Conor's 5 basic character traits, let's see how well they align with one of the most infamous and oftentimes glamorized mental health disorders.
Sure, Special Ops taught you to rattle your captor, but I should warn you, Sergeant, you can't play on my feelings. I don't have any.
Psychopathy. Superficial charm, high intelligence, poor judgment, impulsivity, and egocentricity, they're all there. In addition, we also have a grandiose sense of self-worth and a lack of remorse or shame, which also fits Conor to a T. Now, I'm not going to be disingenuous and act like Conor perfectly fits the mold of a psychopath for the sake of this video, because the truth is, he does not. For instance, pathological lying is one of the main symptoms, and Conor never really struck me as that. He also never exhibited a ton of manipulative behavior, at least not publicly. And truth be told, the symptoms for psychopathy also overlap with narcissistic personality disorder and even some parts of bipolar disorder. So it's possible that he has one or the other, or maybe even all three, or possibly nothing at all. Like I said, this video is pure speculation, but there is another UFC fighter that fits the profile of a psychopath almost perfectly, and I think most of you have already figured out who I have in mind.
You know, I'm not really into the sport for like the hype and like fame or any of that type of stuff. You know, it's like I've become passionate about being a mixed martial artist, and I'm getting better. I'm becoming a better martial artist, and like I said, all this is just kind of coming with it. So you know, my main focus is just being a provider for my family, you know, being the best man I can be, being some sort of leader and a role model to, you know, younger athletes who want to do the same things or similar things, and, you know, just do the best to make it to the top of that ladder.
Seeing Jon Jones like this is almost comical in hindsight. Most probably don't remember, but when he first started his career in the UFC, he put forth a public image of being a goody two-shoes. In fact, one of his earliest controversies was pissing off marijuana users by telling the media that he used to snitch out kids who smoked weed because his parents raised him to be a good guy. Funny, right? Knowing what we know about him now, the man has clearly exhibited a pattern of pathological lying.
I stand here 5 months sober, feeling amazing. Thank you. Feeling amazing, feeling rejuvenated, and I'm excited to get back in here, get on the right track, and put on some exciting fights for you fans.
Would it be fair to call you sober now? Are you sober?
No,
I
still drink.
Okay.
Yeah, I still
Too
drink.
much?
Smoke pot too every once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, with the whole thing, it's crazy with the cocaine thing. Ariel, I'll look you dead in your eyes. I don't like coke. I'm not a coke guy. You know, I smoked marijuana quite frequently, and people who really know me, they know that about me.
Is this guy gonna mess this up again by doing steroids or snorting cocaine or sandblasting prostitutes? What's this guy gonna do? What's this guy gonna do to mess this up this time?
Prostitutes? I beat you after a weekend of cocaine.
And prostitutes.
In addition, just like Conor, he has exhibited a high level of egocentricity and definitely poor judgment and impulsivity. Unlike Conor, however, he has seemed to be remorseful at times, but judging by the actions that followed the apologies, it wasn't too genuine. At least that's the public perception. Now, let's compare that with someone like Sean Strickland, who tries his very best to put forth a psycho persona. People have said that it's all an act, and while the jury is still open, I tend to lean that way as well. Because like Jim Jeffries said, the thing about crazy people is...
they don't know they're crazy. That's what makes them crazy.
And whenever a person tries really hard to look crazy, well, it starts to come off a bit disingenuous. My point is, if you gave me a choice between pissing off Jon Jones or pissing off Sean Strickland, I would probably go with neither because I'm kind of soft, but you guys get what I'm trying to say, right? Now let's switch gears for a second and talk about an athlete that most of you probably would never expect to be part of this video. A legend, a role model, an all-around great guy, Mr. George Rush St. Pierre. Now he's no psychopath, but he has admitted to suffering from another disorder.
Learn through your new film that you've had quite the life. You reveal that you have OCD.
Yes,
It's quite a revelation. How do you manage that as a fighter?
As a competitor, as a fighter, it's a good thing to have it because it makes you better. Obsession I have about my work, my job, to make me better, it was going to drive me crazy. That's why I took that break.
This is anecdotal, but just about every active fighter has claimed something similar to what GSP did in that interview. Actually, not just active fighters. Here's TJ Dillashaw talking about his coach Dwayne Ludwig. Let me know if you see the parallels.
Even when he comes into here to talk to you, he'll have a system written in his hand, what he wants to talk about, what he wants to do. Like, the guy doesn't stop thinking. He's on top of his stuff. He's OCD in a good way.
Yeah, in the best way.
In the best way, absolutely.
Most call it focus, but the difference between being focused and being obsessive is that you can't turn OCD thoughts off. They consume you completely. How many times have you heard somebody say that they couldn't stop thinking about a loss? That they would do anything not to feel that feeling, that they had to practically be restrained by the coaching staff in order to take a rest day. We've seen grown men cry over it, we've seen women hide their faces in shame. It's a very common theme and usually among the most elite fighters, which poses another question. Are some forms of mental illness beneficial to combat sports? I'm talking specifically about OCD here. George St. Pierre claims that his obsessiveness helped him become a better fighter, and it's hard to disagree with that logic. I mean, thinking about something 24/7 will surely make you more proficient at it when compared to someone who only thinks about that same thing for an hour or two a day. Mike Tyson claims that he used to train all day and then study old boxing footage by night. Maybe that's the difference maker between good fighters and champions. And what about psychopathy? Feeling no remorse for your actions has to have at least some benefit in a sport where you're trying to injure your opponent. Some have said that the knee strikes and eye pokes that Jon Jones tends to throw so often make him a much more effective fighter. And he's not exactly sorry for doing it either.
Jones put his finger in his eye, dirtiest fighter in MMA.
And he's not the only one. There have been too many low blows, eye pokes, cage, glove, and short grabs over the years for them all to be accidental. It seems that a lot of fighters are willing to do anything for a victory. The last disorder I want to address is depression, and I have one specific fighter in mind. One of my personal favorite fighters, Nick Diaz, seems to fit a lot of the symptoms on this list. Anxiety, apathy, loss of interest or pleasure in activities. Most people just write his attitude off as just Nick being Nick, but it seems to be deeper than that. And maybe I'll sound crazy saying this, but I think that even though it probably decreases his quality of life, his persistent unhappiness actually might have made him a better fighter by giving him a perpetual underdog complex that drove him to train with a ferocity unparalleled by any other fighter. In conclusion, there is no real conclusion. In my own personal, unprofessional opinion, it seems that mental illness is a lot more prevalent in fighters, but how that affects their lives in and out of competition is open to individual interpretation. I believe that it will make for a very interesting study. If you have some thoughts of your own regarding this topic, please don't hesitate to drop them down below. I would love to read them. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.